Hey guys, welcome back to Young Americans Abroad, your best place for weekly content on young American soccer players playing overseas. My name's Austin.
And my name's Patrick.
And guys, welcome back to our show. Well, guys, we're back again this week. And Pat, it feels good to be filming with you again.
Yeah, good to be back, Austin, again. Second consecutive episode in a row. And what a good time to be filming with all the accomplishments and craziness going on in the American soccer world.
Yeah, and we had such a significant milestone this week with two Americans making the Champions League final, one on either side. So, Pat, it's just going to be really cool to see an American, lift that trophy May 29th.
It almost seems like a dream, Austin. I mean, we always say one day we'll win the World Cup, but, one day soon an American will win the Champions League. I guess you could say that now.
Yeah, right? And we got to give, props to, who is it, Jovan Kirovski, the LA Galaxy technical director. I guess he won it first. But, still, we haven't seen an American, lift the trophy, be in the final in such a long time that this is, just an awesome time to be alive. We're going to see someone lift it. I keep seeing people on Twitter say they can't wait to see Pulisic with the American flag waving behind him after the trophy presentation. But, hey, I'd love to see Zach Steffen, with that same thing. So it's just such an awesome thing. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, no, there's no other words to describe it. It's, absolutely amazing. So I guess with that, we have so much to get into. Talking about those two Americans facing off in the Champions League final.
Yeah, and today we also have to talk about one player who ended his season on a high note over in Italy.
And new coach and new position for YAA making his third start in Serie A. So all that and more in today's episode. All right, guys, and to start the episode, we're going to talk about Christian Pulisic and just quite the past week and weekend he's had with Chelsea, making history there. So like we mentioned at the beginning of the episode, one American will lift that trophy, either Zach Steffen for Man City or Pulisic for Chelsea as they head to the Champions League final. Last Wednesday, they had that solid 2-0 win over Real Madrid to send them through. And Chelsea is just like on target, just great form recently with Tuchel leading the way and pulling the strings, and everything's just lined up perfectly for them. So kind of dive into the game a little bit, even though it was that last week. Pulisic didn't start. It was Werner and Havertz up top, and they were off to a pretty good start. Havertz, I don't know if it was just unlucky or what, but he was hitting crossbar posts, whatever you besides the back of the net, unfortunately. But eventually, Werner did capitalize on one there, which is great to see, for his confidence in Chelsea. Pulisic did come on, I think, in the 67th minute for Werner. And just wreaked havoc. Fresh legs, great energy, exactly kind of what Tuchel wanted him to do to kind of seal the game further. And he had that assist, I think, toying around at the edge of the 6-yard box on the right side and lined up a perfect assist for the charging Mount. So that was kind of a cool connection to see, Mount and Pulisic. I think that picture is circulating back on social media of them at the academy all the way up to this moment to sealing their fate in the Champions League final against a historic and legendary club like Madrid. So that was awesome to see, Austin. Obviously, we wanted him to start, and that was a big debate. So I guess we can kind of jump into that too. But nonetheless, I guess Tuchel's risk from a tactical sense paid off.
Yeah, we all were expecting Christian Pulisic to start. We all wanted him to start, and seeing him on the bench was definitely surprising and shocking, I would say. So yeah, going into the game, that was a little nerve-wracking or tense. And when he came on, like you said, Pat, he looked really good. Drew a lot of fouls, and then also provided that game-winning assist. So, or I guess game-clinching assist.
Right.
So yeah, it was so like pure ecstasy when he put in that assist and Chelsea scored that goal. Just knowing that Chelsea were going to go to the final, Christian Pulisic's going to play in a Champions League final. I know now with hindsight, it sounds not as crazy as it first did, but when you really take a look at it, Pat, like it's pretty impressive to make it to a Champions League final and play in such a prestigious, tournament and game in that tournament. Like, it's such a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it's really just could be a once in a lifetime moment. I mean, you see Barcelona's reign, Messi hasn't been in so long or has won the Champions League. Yeah, Juventus had that spurt for 2 or 3 years, and even Liverpool recently. But it's so hard to get to that place, and just to seize the moment when the form they're in, it would just be unreal, and the timing and everything seems to be aligning. But just want to quickly mention with the starting debate. He did this weekend start and play the full 90, Austin, against Man City. Ironically, there over the weekend, and a great 2-1 win. So first half wasn't the best, but second half he came alive. Great build up on the equalizer, and made some his classic surging runs that we've come to know and love. But just playing at such a high level again. I'm knocking on wood over here for injury free. For Pulisic to just kill it with a few finals coming up. It kind of springs back to Tuchel did mention Havertz for the size in that game against Madrid, but you could clearly see just the quality when Pulisic came on, the impact he has on the pitch, and just making those darting runs, and just a headache and nightmare with his dribbling and honestly his vision and goal scoring. You could tell he was so excited for the team, but when that question came about in the interview, you could tell he was pretty pissed off there, Austin. So about not starting, having to prove himself again and again. So I know a lot of people were talking about that specific quote in the conversation.
Yeah, and honestly, fair play to him for being so honest and transparent. That's got to be frustrating, just having to prove yourself constantly. And that's really what it's been with Thomas Tuchel. Obviously, he's gotten more game time recently, but coming into his tenure with Chelsea, it was, him on the bench and having to, again, prove himself like he did with Frank Lampard. So, yeah, it was good to see him, persevere and really put in good performances throughout the last few Champions League games for Chelsea and be that difference maker. He won the player of the game in that second game against Porto. Did a really good job, obviously scoring the goal, for Chelsea in the first game of the semifinal. And then again, providing that crucial assist to kind of put the game away. Just being a difference maker. That's what we want from Christian. That's what he was after lockdown last year. And, if he keeps playing like this, I think Thomas Tuchel is going to have to reevaluate that Champions League final starting lineup and throw him in there.
Yeah, and that's what I hope. As an American fan, you want him in that Champions League final lineup. But the last thing I was going to say, it's really just going to come down to, I think, Werner seems to be a lock.
Yeah, which is a little strange, but
it's between us and Havertz or Pulisic, so it's tough. They're both offer different things. Their quality is unreal. That Chelsea team. You could even see some of the players of Man City starting. I think it was Ziyech, who we haven't seen that much. Ziyech. As well as Reece James, we haven't seen him. So they really do have a lot of quality, and I forgot to even mention Hudson-Odoi. It's just unreal. Yeah. It's unreal.
Yeah, which is cool. And Chelsea have a lot of games coming up too. So I think you're going to see some more rotation from them. They have the FA Cup this weekend, which will be a big match for them. And hopefully that's another game we see Christian Pulisic start. But, it's going to be, I think they have 3 or 4 Premier League games, the FA Cup, and then the Champions League final in 3 weeks. So, there's going to be some rotation, and we just hope that, things work their way out to put, Christian back in the starting lineup for that Champions League final. So now moving over to Austria, we have Brenden Aaronson, who scored 2 goals for Red Bull Salzburg in their 3-1 win over Sturm Graz. So, Pat, Brenden Aaronson continues to be this goal scorer we didn't know about over in MLS. And, really taking to life in Austria. Both goals were pretty good quality. The first goal came from him just dinking a ball over the goalkeeper after making a nice run into the box. And then the second one was just, capitalizing on being in the right position, kind of staying back and getting a ball, set up perfectly to him and taking a shot that had a slight deflection but went in anyway. So, yeah, it's just really positive, I'd say, Pat, to see him become, this clinical in the final third over in Austria. He's got 7 goals and 3 assists on the season. And these 7 goals tie that mark he had in MLS in his entire career. And it's pretty cool because he's done this now in Austria in less than half the minutes he's played, or he played over in MLS. So it's really just showing that I think his production levels increased, obviously, and that he's really feeling himself over in Austria, playing confidently, and is producing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's unbelievable how quick, and we keep mentioning it, he's acclimated, and he just that final third in his decision making. It is a little. He's mentioned it too in interviews. Just faster in Europe, even though it is the Austrian league there. But yeah, he's just adding so much more to his game, and I'm sure all the scouts and eyes are on him now. I mean, from commercials to goal scoring and lifting trophies, he really is cementing himself as a crucial and pivotal American soccer player over there.
Yeah, we were talking off camera a little bit. He really is kind of their creator in the final third, and they have a lot of exciting attacking players. You got Pat Sandaka there, Megarim Berisha, who's been playing really well. Kareem Adeyemi, who's also another young player that's really on the rise. So he's got a lot of attacking pieces in front of him, and he's done a great job in kind of getting them in positions of space to score, but also taking advantage of some of the opportunities that playing with these types of players provides for those midfielders. He's capitalizing when he gets in chances to shoot and chances to score. So that's really, really positive in my mind. And I think it just shows that progression from, what type of player he was in MLS, where he, I think, was a little bit more timid in the final third, right, and not looking to shoot as much, or not looking to kind of to play that final pass. He was looking to be more active in the buildup before that. So I think this time in a club like Salzburg has really just helped him grow in confidence, and just kind of brought out the player that he's always been, but just, really, really made him confident in himself and the style of game he plays. So, I think it's also worth mentioning, because you talked about trophies, and he won the Austrian Cup, a week ago, 2 weeks ago? But he also has a chance to win the Austria League this week. So Red Bull Salzburg play their second place rivals, Rapid Wien. And if they win on Wednesday, they clinch the league title. So we could be seeing, him and Jesse Marsch lifting another trophy by the time this week's over, which would be pretty cool. So yeah, it's just such positive play from him recently. And I'm kind of excited to see, what role he plays for the USMNT this summer. I don't know if you saw, Pat, but he was put on the Nations League preliminary roster today. Right. So, we think he's going to be in these games, playing against Switzerland, I think, before we play, who is it, Honduras?
I think it is Honduras.
For the Nations League. So, it's just exciting times. And, we have Christian Pulisic, who's playing in a Champions League final. Maybe he's not going to be a part of these games, and we'll see Brenden Aaronson kind of take over his place.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mention it. I mean, the form he's in, you can't rule him out for, knocking somebody off. I mean, we have all these great players up front. I mean, who is it going to be in that kind of midfield attacking type of role? Aaronson's so dynamic and what he brings to the table and what he's really developed. I think you said it perfectly. Just kind of being a little bit, I don't know, timid or what the best word is, or having to hit that, maybe that plateau level at an MLS, and just took it to another level here. And he's just going to continue to get better and better, it seems like. So yeah, I don't know if we'll see how Pulisic goes or what the lineups will be. I mean, I think you were talking on camera with Reina and him. I mean, there's a lot you can do with Aaronson. He's so versatile. And I think he's just a player that you could just mesh in a few different roles, with that lineup, and be able to just, get him a starting spot, because it's going to be hard. He's knocking on the door. He's about to knock it down, Austin.
Yeah, very true. And that versatility is such a key part of, looking at World Cup qualifying, looking at the summer and what rosters we may see for the Gold Cup and Nations League. Because like you said, Brenden Aaronson could play on the wing. He could play in those dual number 10 positions. I'm sure you could even play him a little bit deeper back if we played with 5 at the back and kind of switched up that midfield a little bit. But I just think there's a lot of he's such a useful player, and I honestly love the form he's in. I think seeing him with the national team in March also just kind of reaffirmed that he's got, he's right on the cusp, I feel like, of the starting lineup. And if we have a player that dips in form, kind of like, maybe Gio Reyna was dipping earlier in the season, then maybe he'll, slot right in and kind of take over and pick up the slack a little bit. So, yeah, I'm just excited. I think this move's been awesome for him. Obviously, with Jesse Marsch leaving, there'll be a little bit of a switch up in Salzburg over the summer. So, I think it's, we back Brenden to stay in that starting lineup and be a difference maker for Salzburg. We don't think it's just because Jesse Marsch is there, but it'll be really interesting to see, how his season goes next year and what is after the Salzburg, part of his career. We'll have to kind of wait and see. But I guess that's the exciting part, Pat.
Yeah, good send up with that league title coming up. So we'll have to see. But I guess kind of shifting gears, Austin, over to Italy in the second tier with our boy. That's right. Great to talk about him a little bit more. Andrija. So Andrija Novakovich ended the season in Serie B on quite a high note for Frosinone. Unfortunately, they did finish 10th place, but nonetheless, let's talk about his fantastic game against Regina there, where he completed a hat trick and an assist, so involved in all those goals in a 4-0 win. And I guess a fun fact is, the first American hat trick over in Italy, for a U.S. player, which is quite an accomplishment, honestly, even if it is Serie B. And just some quick tweets. I think, stats. I'm getting ahead of myself. Larry Henry tweeted out, I think, some statistics in terms of 34 appearances there for Andrija this season, 11 goals and 6 assists in over, I think, 2,100 minutes there. So, again, pretty solid outing for him. Obviously, 3 of those did come in this game, but nonetheless, the assists and goals has been pretty solid there. For Serie B, 2 seasons in a row, he's made the impact. So it's just kind of interesting, Austin. Just a quick note in terms of comparing to some of the other forwards and attackers we have in the pool. You could maybe not the same, obviously not the same player in terms of skill sets, but Gioacchini didn't have as much contributions for his team over in the second division for Caen in France. So not to play the favorite there, but Andrija certainly has skill sets that I think could be useful, and I think he certainly is a player that's waiting and to take his chance and sees another opportunity with the national team. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I think he's someone that honestly gets forgotten about a lot, and he's not really in that young group anymore. He's, I believe, 25 now, so he's old enough still for us to talk about him, but coming up we won't be able to. So right. I feel like he gets lost kind of in the fold a little bit with some of these other younger guys, but like you said, Pat, his stats transfer to another second tier like Ligue 2 or Ligue 2, and it's just he's playing better in that second league there in Italy than Nick Gioacchini. Oh geez,
I know, tongue twister.
And obviously he's had some injuries this year, so we're not trying to say that he's not deserving of his opportunities, but when you're looking at some of these other options, I even look at someone like Jordan Sabaciu. I think Andrija and him are somewhat similar in the way they play. I think Sabaciu's a little bit more physical, and Novakovich has a tall frame and has gotten on a lot of scored a lot of heading goals and has done a good job using his size. But I feel like he also does a good job of kind of tracking back and combining with the midfield a little bit more than Jordan, where Jordan's, like I said, more physical and more of a poacher, where Novakovich likes to combine a little bit more than him. So I think, when you look at that, I think both of those players offer something different, but they offer kind of the same standard of play, in my opinion. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see how Greg Berhalter uses Jordan Sabaciu this summer. I think he's an okay player. I don't think he's going to be someone who's probably going to be around long term. Maybe he'll be in and out, but I think you're going to see him maybe go on loan to the second league there in France next year, or kind of pick up the pieces after this loan this season. And I honestly think someone like Andrija has similar quality to him and could be the same type of asset to the men's national team.
Yeah,
it might be a hot take, but
yeah, no, I like that take, and I think that was an interesting comparison you made too. And the last thing I was going to mention on Andrija, I think just in terms of next steps, and he's kind of in that early middle 20 age now, but he still has, just the competition now from a national team, forward perspective, where he either needs to make some kind of move, I think eventually, whether they had that perfect opportunity for that Serie A promotion playoff, to get into that, which would have been awesome, but not the best finish this year. I would love to see him maybe at a mid to bottom tier Italian team. I think Udinese was one, and Genoa had poor goal scoring record and finished kind of low this year. But also, maybe even back to a different league in the Netherlands. I mean, give it a shot there. He did pretty well. I certainly think he's capable of getting into that top flight now and doing pretty well over there. So I think, I don't know, I think he just needs to get out of Serie B to get a look, to be honest.
Yeah, and I think, what you said too is really fair, that he's still young. He's in, the middle part of his 20s and has been producing in Italy. It's not like he's gone here and just had this one-off game. Yeah, right. He's had a pretty good season. So I think, I think just kind of staying the course. I think that's a really good idea of going back to the Netherlands at some point. At Sittard, he looked really good at times and looked like, that was a league where he could really thrive in and prosper. And that's similar to like Luca De La Torre, who's been playing really well there this year. So yeah, I think for right now he's okay at Frosinone, but definitely, could see him kind of taking advantage of some better opportunities in the future if they came his way, which would be cool. So I guess with that now, Pat, we're going to stay in Italy and talk about Weston McKennie. And it hasn't gotten any better since last week when we talked about Weston. And he started and played 90 minutes this week for Juventus in their 3-0 loss to AC Milan. So not good. This loss really puts Juventus outside the Champions League spots in 5th place. So that's, a Europa League spot there in Serie A. And the good thing is they are 1 point behind Napoli. There's 3 games left to play. So there's still some hope for Juve to finish in a Champions League spot and see Weston back in that competition next year. But Pat, it's really just not looking good at the end of the season here.
No. And you can't really call it a sinking ship, but just from where they are, I think players just when we've done and over with the season, but there's still, you got to fight for that Champions League spot. I mean, you really can't miss out on that. That would just be a huge, just nail in the coffin, Austin, for lack of better terms. But yeah, it's just a tough scenario for Weston. I mean, there's not really much else to say besides, I just don't think Pirlo is the right man for the job. Honestly, I know maybe I said differently at the start of the season, but in my opinion, you needed more of an experienced manager or somebody that can kind of get you through the transition, I guess, Juventus is going through. It just I don't know. I'm hoping they just get through this, can squeak out a few more wins, and then Weston has that whole, time with the national team to kind of reset their summer off, and then they come out guns blazing for the next season. So I know there's been some other rumors circulating around. I don't know if we want to go down those rabbit holes, but I don't know. It's just kind of an interesting time for Weston, and not a great way right now.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting to kind of ponder that Pirlo decision too. At the beginning of the season, he was someone who was very inexperienced, someone that kind of was just thrown into the situation. And I think as the season's gone on, you just kind of seen how he's not really set up to handle this Juve team. And I think, Weston going to Juventus is such an awesome opportunity for him, no matter how this kind of shakes out. But at the end of the day, I just don't see Pirlo kind of lasting this season. I think, if things continue to go the way they've gone, I think Juve may miss out on the Champions League this year, and or I should say next year, and that's catastrophic. Like Pat, you've got Ronaldo. Ronaldo's used to winning this tournament.
I could not imagine what his mood is like right now in the training ground.
Yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, it's just tough. And yeah, it's not like Weston's been playing great either as of late, which is tough to see too. In this game, he only won 1 of 8 duels, so it just was a rough game from him. And in watching it, he just really failed to make an impact. And I don't think it's his fault solely. I think there's a lot at play in this team. I think there's a lot of just negative feelings and lack of confidence, and just things are not going their way. So yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see, Pat. I feel like we should hold off on those Weston to the Premier League rumors just yet. I think if they don't make Champions League, there could be a potential for that, but I don't know. I still want them at Juve just because they're such a historic club. But, I know.
I completely understand. We won't go down that rabbit hole yet, but things will get better. I believe Weston, and the team will turn around. When things may seem bleak. So I guess just some more positive news. Or mixed, I guess you could say, as we head over to another American player in Serie A, and that's Bryan Reynolds. So he just got his 3rd start for Roma, Austin, which is pretty awesome.
That's right.
He played 57 minutes in a 5-0 demolition, a blowout against Crotone, and he started at left back, which is interesting. Not his usual right back, and actually played pretty well. I think he did a lot of cutting inside of the right, trying to find some balls and squeak between those defenders in tight spaces there. Some cut out, some did pretty well. I mean, he had 91% passing accuracy, 1-on-1 dribbles completed there, 3-7 duels won. So pretty solid outing. Obviously not the best team in the world, but still nonetheless. You have a lot going on, fairly new, position on the left at a high level. Mourinho as manager, Austin, just huge news there. I mean, so that's a whole nother conversation that we can get into, versus, for the younger players, is that a good situation? A lot of people seem to say no and are worried. But at the same time, I guess you brought up some great points on Twitter, where Roma is just the starters aren't getting it done really. And the ball could be in Reynolds' court to make an impact and say, hey, this is one of the worst seasons Roma's had in a while. I think they're 7th, bottom half in goals allowed this season. So, things need to be tinkered with.
Yeah, and I think, I honestly think Jose Mourinho coming to this Roma team is a positive for Bryan. I think, things are so established right now, and the structure at Roma is so rigid that it's been hard for Bryan to really break into that team and get a fair chance. I know he's gotten some of these games here where they've been playing in the Europa League, but other than that, I don't think he would have played, to be completely honest, if they didn't have to rotate. And
that's fair.
I don't know if that's because he's not good enough compared to the other players there, and to be honest, he hasn't really shown himself well in the games he's played. So maybe that is the case. But from what we saw with him at FC Dallas, what we've seen from him with youth teams, just his level of play in general. He's someone who is such a great athlete, and I think just coming into this Jose Mourinho shakeup, because like you said, Pat, there's some things wrong with Roma. They're not kind of where they usually are at. Whereas challenging for a Champions League spot, being a team that's kind of in that top conversation in Italy. I think Jose Mourinho is going to look to a lot of different players and kind of see what they can do. And I think Bryan's going to be one of those players. I think when you looked at Jose Mourinho's stops at Man United and also at Tottenham, it's been kind of a different thing with him and younger players. He played, Japhet Tanganga at Tottenham. Also some other younger players like Troy Parrott, I think, even got kind of a run in there before getting loaned out. And also at Man United, he gave Scott McTominay, his starting minutes there and kind of eased him into the first team. And, definitely some other players too in defense. And I just think it's going to be a little bit different than what you saw from Jose Mourinho, back in the day when he was managing, Real Madrid, Chelsea, some of those teams where he kind of came in and just kind of took, a big transfer kitty and kind of just played those, experienced players and sent the young players directly out on loan. I don't think that's what you're going to see from this takeover here at Roma, just because I don't think Roma have the money to kind of splash around like that. And also, I just think, again, the players haven't gotten it done, the players that are currently starting. And I think Jose Mourinho is one to shake things up. And I think Bryan Reynolds, again, like I said on Twitter, the ball is in his court. I think he's going to get a fair shake of things at Roma. It's just going to be up to him to kind of prove himself and prove that he belongs.
Yeah, and I was just going to quickly add, I mean, all just great points because, like you said, it's not the typical, I mean, Mourinho has been now with quite a lot of teams now, and you saw a little bit at Tottenham and with Roma. They don't really have the, like you said, the funds or especially now missing out on a lot of European competition. I mean, it's just like you said, the ball's in court. He's got to seize his chance, and I guess there could be some worrisome. Is he ready? I mean, we didn't see as too much because he didn't have that much time at FC Dallas with the first team. I mean, he went over fairly quick, which we mentioned in previous episodes. Excuse me, but yeah, I mean, he's got to grind in, show what he's made of and capable of, and just be a quick learner here because any top club in Serie A, it's cutthroat. So if you're not showing it, you have 4 or 5 bad games or a string of bad games, you'll be left out of the plans. So I still have faith. I believe in him. Like you said, he's athletic, he's versatile. He just offers a lot of potential, and I think Jose will see that.
Yeah. What do you think about him playing left back this weekend? What did you think of that? Obviously, we saw some of the highlights. I wasn't able to watch the game. I just saw that one highlight video that went around. I heard there were some mixed reactions to his performance, but do you think this is something that could help us from a USMNT perspective when you look at the depth chart? Yeah,
I think from a USMNT perspective, left back and right back, absolutely. I think just being selfishly as an American fan, I think it would be great if he develops there. And like you said, I didn't catch the whole game, but I did see some mixed reviews, and he had some good moments. Bright going forward. He's still, obviously, it's a little bit different for everybody to kind of adjust. I mean, it's shifting sides, but you're a player at his caliber, he'll adjust quick, and having somebody like that could play either or would just be great. And if that gets him on the field in Roma and more experience starting, that's fantastic then.
Yeah, very true. And I think what was kind of interesting to see is his big ability as a right back is to cross the ball into the box. That's something he's done a really good job of in his time at FC Dallas. I guess you would say in his career so far, is just getting those crosses into the box. And I'll just be really interested to see if he plays left back, how he can do that from the left side. I think it's definitely plausible. You've seen a lot of right-footed left backs. It's not unheard of.
Right. Good point.
So I just think, like you said too, Pat, the versatility of playing on the left as well as the right. You see Serginho Dest able to do that.
Yeah.
Reggie Cannon, not so much. Maybe things will change, but just having another option at left back, I think would be big for us right now because, that position's gotten a little bit more solid than it was 4 years ago, but there's still the door's open. There's still, time for someone to cement their name on that spot.
A lot more debate on the left side. A lot more debate on the left side than the right side, you could say, from the US. So. Yeah, I mean, I think you covered it well. Reynolds it's kind of an interesting time as the season's winding down. Almost, I don't want to compare it to Weston in the revamp, but it'll just be good to kind of finish out this season. Juventus and Roma, both poor seasons in what their standards are. So I think it'll just be a really big summer and upcoming 2021, 2022 to really cement himself in the lineup, get that full kind of camp, that training with Jose. He can kind of see what he does on the training ground. It's all up to him. So now let's head over to Quick Kicks. All right, guys, you know what time it is. It's my favorite time of the show, and I hope it's yours. It's now time for Quick Kicks.
So you could test Dwayne Miller. It's Altidore over the wall, and that one is in! Josie Altidore from a long way out. The opening goal for the United States.
So to start Quick Kicks today, we have Gio Reyna, who played 82 minutes in BVB's 3-2 win over Leipzig.
That's awesome, Austin. And heading to Barcelona with Serginho Dest. He started and played 70 minutes in a tough 0-0 draw against Atletico Madrid. They really needed that win.
Yeah. And going back to Germany, we have Josh Sargent, who started and played 84 minutes in Werder Bremen's big 0-0 draw with Leverkusen. So this gives them one more point and hopefully pushes them to safety from relegation.
Ooh, treading water, Austin. But heading to France, it's some exciting news with Tim Weah. He subbed on the 67th minute and a 3-0 win for Lille against Nice. So, I mean, I think they're right on the cusp of history there, Austin.
That's right. Yeah, another American who's close to winning a trophy. That's big time. And going over to Portugal, we have Reggie Cannon, who started and played 81 minutes in Boa Vista's 1-1 draw.
And heading to the English Championship with our boy Daryl DK, he subbed on the 55th minute in a 2-2 draw for Barnsley. And
going over to Spain, we have Conrad de la Fuente, who picked up an assist in Barca B's 4-3 win over Villarreal B's. So good for Conrad. Really in a good run of form here with Barca B. And we got those transfer rumors swirling now. So we'll see what happens this summer.
He keeps making an impact, Austin. And unfortunate news here for Anthony Robinson and Fulham. Robinson started, played the full 90, but they did lose to Burnley and now are officially relegated. Just awful news. But maybe there's rumors about him staying in the Premier League. So who knows?
Yeah, I feel like he's going to get picked up by another team. I'm not sure what team, but I just feel like there's been so much talk about that. There's something there. So we'll see what happens. And going over to Belgium, we have Matt Miazga, who scored a big goal for Anderlecht in stoppage time to secure a 2-2 draw with Antwerp. So this was Matt's first goal in Belgium. And what a way to draw the game, literally in the final seconds. And Vincent Kompany was loving it on the bench too. So good to see.
I was about to say Vincent Kompany would be proud. So that's great for Miazga. But heading back to the English Championship with Cameron Carter-Vickers, started and played the full 90 for Bournemouth in a 2-0 loss for Stoke.
And going over to Germany, we have Matt Hoppe, who subbed on and played the final 4 minutes in Schalke's 4-2 loss to Hoffenheim. And, that was, sad news, I guess, because, Schalke are currently relegated and just living out the final few games here in the season. And the good news on the weekend for Matt is that he was actually nominated for Bundesliga Rookie of the Year. So there were some big names who got nominated alongside him. And, go find that poll on Twitter and vote for him. I don't know if he's going to win, but, we have our fan base to back him. So we'll see what we can do.
That's right. All you YAA fans, go vote. But yeah, talking about Taylor Booth here now. He subbed on in the 43rd minute for St. Pölten in their unfortunate 2-0 loss.
And going over to Germany again, we have Justin Che, a player who we've neglected to talk about the past few episodes. But Che started and played 90 minutes for Bayern 2 again, which has been the common theme. And that was in a 2-1 loss. So Bayern 2 look like they may get relegated from the 3 Liga. But Justin Che continuing to get minutes as a 17-year-old for this team. So really, really positive, news there in Germany.
Yeah, one name we'll be talking about for a while, I think, Austin.
Looks good.
Yeah, and you're going to England with Owen Odasawe there. So last Monday, he did start the game in a draw against West Brom. This past weekend, he didn't play, but he did make the provisional U.S. Nations League roster there, Austin. So great news for him. Yeah,
it's good to see. And staying in England, we have Alex Mighton, who subbed on and played the final 16 minutes in Nottingham Forest's 2-1 loss. But Alex was also voted Nottingham Forest Young Player of the Year. Woo! So another getting some accolades there over in England. So good to see. So that's all for our episode today, guys. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel down below.
Go check out our social media content. Instagram, always posting great stuff there. Twitter, TikTok. We have all those platforms as our Americans are doing great things abroad.
That's right. And this episode's also available in podcast form. So check us out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. So Pat, we're getting down to the nitty gritty here. We're seeing some trophies won. We've got some other trophies that may be won this week coming up. So really, really positive things to look forward to.
Yeah, I mean, some players are just making the moves, leaps and bounds, just performing so well. Whether it's with new clubs, their first stint over in Europe, just a lot to look forward to as we kind of come to the tail end of a lot of seasons over in Europe, and their respective players go to the national team. So a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, it's going to be an action-packed summer as well. And, Pat, it leads all up to one thing, and that is one day we will win the World Cup.